Good morning, Hallowed Haven family. This is After Dawn, a show where we sit down and have a cup of coffee with the cast, crew, and creators behind the Hallowed Haven Studios production. I am Scott, and normally I'd be joined with my co-host Grizz, but he had a thing come up today, so today it'll just be me having a cup with my guests here, Swifty playing Ted
Oh,
Abernathy, and Gary playing Oliver Bright. Hello, guys.
That's me. Hello.
oh.
Now for the obligatory.
Oh, were we supposed to do that too?
I don't think I could slurp loud enough for my mic to pick it up, so
Yeah, I just tried. I don't think mine did either.
yeah. I'll
Well, I
try.
hope mine did. Otherwise, that was a whole lot
I
of
know we
useless
heard
hand
it.
motions. Very
We
good.
heard it. We heard it.
It came through.
Yep. Well, we're talking about Scion Apotheosis, season 1, episode 1,
I
where
don't think I've heard that before.
oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah, what's
no,
that?
it doesn't ring any bells. So no.
Well, in this episode, we were introduced to your characters and other characters and thrown right into some kind of thing going on in which I'm not going to spoil it, but you know what? I don't care. If you haven't seen the episode, then this is spoilers, and that means you just got to get on it. But some things happened and some people died. So we're going to talk about that today. In my
Yeah.
opinion, it was a great episode. I had to jump in a little bit late because I was on a phone call. But I came in and it was wonderful to just jump right in where I was at. And then I went back and listened to the hour I missed. And yeah, it was good. Very good episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. It was a real good, fun time.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. Swifty, because
Yes.
you had some important things that happened. Tell us, what were your plans for Teddy when the start of the show? Actually, did you know in advance
I
what was
knew
gonna
right
happen today?
away. Yeah.
This guy knew. He knew.
I knew
Who won
right
this from
away.
the start?
Yeah. So we had like the interview process. And I had a great time talking with Porcelain. And then probably about a few days later, she messaged me saying, "Hey, I have an idea. I want you to play, but I want you to play a very specific thing." I was like, "Oh, okay. I want you to essentially make a character. You'll go through the whole process with everyone else. You'll be equated with all the other players, but I want you to come in just to die." So I knew from like the get-go. I knew straight away that I was coming in just to die. Um, so I had a lot of fun just sitting there watching everything, knowing what's gonna happen.
So she had this in her pocket the whole time, and you were well
Yeah.
aware of the plot.
I
Very good.
was I wasn't aware of the plot. I just knew I was gonna die at a certain point. I honestly didn't know when I was gonna die.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah, no,
that's a good way.
yeah. She just said, "You're gonna die at some point in the first episode." I went, "Okay." As far as I knew, I could have been there for 30 minutes. I could have been there for 4 hours.
Yeah, you could have been the very end is just
Yeah,
and Teddy dies.
that's what I was I was expecting like something at the very end, like to get me, not halfway through. I was like, "Wow, okay,
I believe I
cool."
made a joke about that at the end of the session afterwards. I was like, yeah, what if it was just like he was with us the entire time? We get to the safe house and a sniper just takes him out. And
That's
then
what I
just like
was
cut to black.
expecting.
Next episode. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, that was I mean, I think that's probably a good way to do it, honestly, because like while you were aware that it was going to happen, you didn't know the specifics, which makes it a
Mm,
surprise to you as well.
yeah.
That's just a sign of a good storyteller, honestly.
Yeah. I
Well,
think it is. I had a lot of fun getting murdered.
I
yeah,
had
and
a
it
great
wasn't
time getting
it
murdered.
was
Yeah.
it was a natural progression too. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
There was a
like having
point.
watched it. Go ahead.
Go on.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, there was a point where I actually thought, "What if I'm not gonna die?" 'Cause they got like they were rolling so well to get me away from it that I genuinely messaged her and went like, "Yo, what happens if they save me?" And she's like, don't worry,
We gave
they're
it a
probably
good
not
shot.
going to." Yeah, oh, you guys got so close. Honestly, I'm more upset that I rolled poorly because there's one point where I had to roll dice and I was like, "All right, sweet as." I rolled 2 ones, like, ah, fuck. And it's just played over in my mind. I'm like, what if I just didn't roll 2 ones? What if I rolled 2 tens instead?
And just
Yeah, the
force it
Who
dice
into
are
it.
knows?
like,
It's like, "Hey,
"No."
congratulations, you live."
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when the dice tell a different story, right?
yeah. I mean, that's when the
Mm,
dice decide what's going on.
Yeah.
dice just cooperated, it seemed, with what our good old storyteller was planning for us.
She rigged them.
Rig the bot.
She's like, whatever Swifty rolls next, he rolls ones. Like, oh, okay.
She's got that deep code.
Yeah.
Gary, you didn't know what was gonna happen,
I had
so
no clue, at least going into it. But like once it started happening, I started putting the pieces together. Where it was when we cut the break. It was there in that scene where Teddy's running with the rest of us, and he gets that internal monologue from BP, where it's
Mm.
like, "We just might make it. We just might make it." Then he gets yanked and says, "You think they just might make it?" Then we cut to break, and I started going like, "Wait, hold on, hold on, hold on." Because when the cast list was announced or everything, and I saw there was 5 players, I was like, "Oh, that's unusual." And BP even made a message where it's like, "Normally we only do 4, but there was such great chemistry from each of you guys that we're gonna do 5 this time around." I was like, "Oh, okay, very cool." But I flashed back to that moment once we cut to break, and I was like, "Wait a second, hold on, is this some kind of trick? Am I being deceived here? Am I being is my leg getting pulled?" And as just things progress, I was like, this guy was supposed to die from the beginning, wasn't he?"
nice. I mean, that's a long plan, right? That's a long con, as it were,
It
in the
was a
gaming
long
world.
con.
You thought you had another player with you, and the whole time it was this plan. That was, I mean, I only knew that BP had something crazy surprise like in store for the first episode. I knew that was happening. I just didn't know what it was. But when I will agree with you that when Teddy was drifting back from the rest of the group, I was like, I think I know what's going to happen soon.
Mm.
Not that I knew he was going to die, just that I like that Teddy was going to be
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, just sort of kind of like NPC'd, right?
Yeah.
That was something I suspected at that point, but only because I knew something was up with that episode. For those at home who had no idea, like that would not have looked like that at all.
Well, I think we
I
kind
think,
of knew something was up a little bit because I think in session 0 she mentioned how like she was doing some things to really subvert expectations for I think
yeah.
Damien since he's played a lot of Silent before, and
Yeah.
so it was kind of like okay, so some crazy things might happen. Not gonna matter to me because I've never played this game beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
how wrong I was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what were your plans for Oliver going into the episode? Like, what were you? Did you have any plans, or were you just kind of winging it because it was the first episode?
I mean, well, for all like, I went in knowing, like, who he was gonna be as a character, like, what this guy was gonna be like, but it was kind of a skeleton more or less, and I was like, "Alright, we'll truly kinda get a feel for who this guy is and what he's all about once I start getting to play him," and that's kinda, yeah, what happened. I got to explore and discover a lot of things about Oliver, kind of how he acts, how he behaves, how he speaks, the things that he says and does, and, yeah, it was a really good time to really learn about him.
So you think that your role playing of the character is going pretty well so far?
I think so. I think I'm both staying quite true to what I envisioned for him, but then also getting the chance to take him into some really interesting ways due to just the nature of how this game began, how it's immediately starting like we're hitting the ground running, so he's immediately getting shoved into like directly out of his comfort zone, like he's getting shot putted out of that box and is having to grapple with that. So like you get a little bit of a taste of how he probably would have behaved in a normal capacity at the beginning where BP is having me describe what he's doing and how he's going about that, and then you get to see what happens when shit starts hitting the fan with him. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's natural for most gamers to like have an idea of what their character is going to be, but then when they start playing the character starts to morph into something maybe not necessarily fully unexpected, but different,
oh yeah,
than they were originally
absolutely.
planning.
I'm really excited to see what happens with Oliver as things continue to escalate and things continue
Mhm.
to get weirder and weirder for him, and he has to grapple with it and just kind of decide like what am I going to do about this? What am I? What decisions am I going to make that are uncomfortable for me, as in like the character, and how is that going to make me grow? And I'm really looking forward to that kind of stuff.
Very good. Now, Swifty, you are only Teddy's only in one episode, but how do you think you played him? Any thoughts on
Um,
that?
I think I made an active decision that I didn't want to like have him be in the spotlight for a lot of it,
Mhm,
just because I knew he was only going to be there for one episode.
mhm,
So I didn't want to. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because I usually, when I play a character, I usually play them for a lot more than one session, so I get to learn a lot more about them. Whereas this, I kind of didn't. That's like my one gripe is that I don't get to keep on playing. I come in and I'm dead. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll find something else to do now. I think I did an okay job. It's difficult coming into like a new group of people that you've
mhm.
interacted with once before, and you know it's hard because role playing, especially a new system, add on a new group is hard in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not at the level of comfort that I would be with my own home group where I've been playing with them for like 2-3 years at this point.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I did an okay job. I'm not I'm not like I'm not a professional voice actor or an actor or anything, but I think I did an okay job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, you pulled a number of heartstrings for a few people, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
that later in
That's
the episode.
underselling it. He was a menace. This man was a menace. You know what he was doing? He intentionally did what he did to make it worse for us.
Oh, I did
Well,
that, yeah,
well,
but like,
we'll talk
that's
about
the
that in
easy
the
thing.
We'll get
Yeah.
there. We'll
talk
get
about
there.
that in spilling of
I
the
have
tea
so
section. How
much
about
more
that?
to say about it once we get there.
I
I
can
have
feel the
so
gun
much
being
to
pointed
say.
at me under the table
Oh,
right
it's
now.
yeah. I'm loading it right now as we speak. It's like
The
Russian
tea is
roulette, but all
boiling,
five
and
or
it's
five of the six slots are filled.
I can hear the teapot whistling already. All right. So a question for both of you: when you go to play a role playing game, is there any like this was a question actually from the chat that I thought was actually a good question. Is there any rituals or anything specific you do before a session to like get into character?
Ooh.
Ooh, I can actually answer this. No, just get out of bed, basically.
Well, see,
Think so.
first thing is I get up, and that's my
Yeah,
entire ritual. Yeah.
I wake up and I'm
yeah.
perfect. That's what I'm
That's
hearing.
what no, I'll have
I'm
very
good.
bad sleep. So I literally even get out of bed like 10 minutes before the session. Like, all right, we're playing D&D. Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I'm similar normally, where if it's with a group that I'm familiar with, where I'm play with them for a long time and I get to be a player, then it's kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna hop in, have some fun. But if it's something where I'm like taking the reins, if I'm GMing, then I'll normally like frantically go over my notes really quickly for the first 30 minutes to make sure I don't forget anything. Probably still
Mhm.
forget something, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
But for in the case of HHS, I've been doing things differently recently because we've been encouraged to do a lot of things that I'm not used to doing with characters, like making playlists for them, doing mood
Mhm.
boards, stuff like that. I'm normally not someone who really does that, but I started doing it for stuff like this. So I'll like, at least for Sion, what I did is I basically just kind of played Oliver's playlist since I made one for him for a good half hour or so, and then once we were kind of getting ready to stop, I paused and I was kind of felt like I was in that headspace, and yeah, that's kind of how it went for me. Pretty simple.
Yeah, those are all really good things to do. I myself am not super great at like getting into the character's mindset earlier on, but when I'm sitting there, I start trying to think like the character, and I actually write. This actually is also another HHS influence. The journals that they encourage us to write for our characters and like the campaigns.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I have so much fun with
actually,
those.
I start writing a little bit of a journal entry, like maybe a few sentences, just to kind of remember the way that the character thinks when they write,
Mhm.
which isn't necessarily how they talk, but how they think. So I totally get that. like mood boards and things. Like HHS influence, good, thumbs up.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah. So let's see, Swifty. Let's talk about you for a moment and not your character. Um, Considering that you're playing a White Wolf product, and we're playing Scion First Edition, this is a question actually. Like, what is your favorite White Wolf product? And I'll also accept any World of Darkness or Onyx Path product,
Mm.
because they're all in basically the same circle of influence.
Well, I haven't actually played many White Wolf things. Um, I think this is the only game I've properly played that's White Wolf. Um,
John the
no, Vampire the Masquerade's
Non-Believer.
White Wolf, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that, but only because I'd say that only because I've played like the video game Bloodlines, and I really enjoyed playing that. I honestly, I can't. I really enjoyed playing this, even for the short time. So it'd be a 50-50 between the two. I like the idea of playing like the son or the child of a god,
Mm-hmm.
and just having all the horrible mean guys come for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say yeah, 50-50 between this and Vampire the Masquerade.
Gotcha. Very cool. Good thing it's got a solid influence in your mind then, so you can have fun with the game, get to know it
Yeah.
better. Now, Gary, do you want the same question or you want another question?
I mean, go ahead and give me another question because I feel like I would have a very similar answer. I haven't had
Yeah.
much opportunity to play a whole lot of White Wolf recently, but now that I'm getting into it and getting to play it, it's kind of slaps, as the kids say.
Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song? Like if you were alone in a
My
waiting room and there wasn't like elevator music playing, like what song would you sing to yourself? Or like
Ooh,
if you actually do karaoke, like what is a song you always like to
I've
choose?
never done karaoke before. I would either have
Yeah.
to be really intoxicated or go with a group of friends and be mildly intoxicated to be able to do it.
I'll tell you right now,
Um,
you need to be intoxicated to enjoy it. I
I
wasn't,
mean,
and I didn't enjoy it.
as a non-drinker, I would disagree because I just don't drink. But I will say that most everyone else, every time I've gone karaoke, they have to be pretty
Yeah.
intoxicated, and then they really enjoy it. So I would agree
yeah,
with you, even though I don't think you need to be. But that's just my opinion. But I
if
do
I
I do agree that a little bit of intoxication probably works for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If I were to pick one though, it would probably just because it's like it lives rent free in my head since probably like a decade now. But like Piano Man by Billy Joel, like it's just
Yeah.
it's always there somewhere in the vacant cavern that is my mind.
You know, that answer gave us a decent amount of insight into you, Gary, and also the fact that you refer to your mind as a chasm. Um, just lets us know a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'll have to be more enigmatic with my answers then. Can't let anyone know about me. Can't let the feds find me.
Quick, bring up the fake personality. Go,
I'm
go, go.
actually I'm actually in a bunker in Alaska right now. That's where I live. I've been on the run for
That's what they
years.
all say.
Right? And the funny part about that is I have a friend who was doing a podcast for a while where he the episodes each time he claimed that he was in a bunker somewhere so that they couldn't find him. Um
That's
Yeah, I think he
great.
was my roommate.
What happened
For
So
to
how
him,
does
Gary? What happened to him?
how do how does the person that you are compare and contrast to the character that you're playing?
um for me with characters is that it depends if I'm doing a role playing game, it's really easy for me, or it's easier for me to take a character or take an aspect of myself and then kind of like inflate it to a certain degree until it takes on a life of its own, where they're like their own unique person, but there's still like that aspect I can draw from myself to make it easier so that I'm role playing on the spot and stuff. But if I'm just doing some like usual like normal writing, I like to make characters who are like vastly different from me because then I can explore and have fun with other perspectives and stuff.
Yeah, very good. That's I think that's how I do it too. But I don't know, Swifty, are you the same?
Typically, yes, my characters are like a part of me that I've taken and just drawn out and lengthened. Um, but Teddy, he's yeah, he's very he's kind of not me in any way possible, just because he's it's different because usually I don't have I usually I'll have the sheet, and as I'm going through the sheet, I'll have an idea. I'll like pick thing, and I'll just see something, and I'll pick up, and I'm like, oh, I like that idea. Every now and again, I'll have an idea before I even look at the sheet. But with Teddy, like I knew immediately, like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to put myself into this because I don't want to get properly attached to it. Because I knew he was
'Cause
going to get murdered.
It's like, I know I have a short lifespan, so I'm gonna teach
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, exactly. But
Arms
usually
one.
I put a lot of myself. I put a bit of myself in there. So a lot of my characters are some weird, fucked up goblins with a lot of mental health issues.
No.
Hmm. Once again, some insight into who you are and what you think of yourself.
I guess. I mean, I say this. My current character for like a D&D campaign I'm playing in is let's just say he might be turning evil at some point soon, and I really hope he doesn't. But it's
Oh
not under
dear.
my control.
Mm,
He makes bad decisions.
You know, the thing though that you said, this is just my amateur psychologist here. You said that Teddy is not like you at all. So then the
Yeah.
question gets posed, like, is Teddy like the opposite reflection version, like the thing that you think is opposite of what you are? So is that still
Ooh.
a part of you in a way?
I don't know if he'd even. I mean, I guess you could say he's kind of the opposite of me. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have that much life experience, so I wouldn't actually be able to say if he
Hmm.
is the opposite of me. Like,
Yeah,
he's a nice guy, but
Teddy is number 1 dad, Swifty is number 2 dad, so
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
that's
not too
where
dead. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, like he's a dad. That was specifically a feature I wanted on a cup, by the way, on the character art was number 1 dad, just to emphasize the point.
Yep.
Um. But I don't know if he's like the exact opposite of me. I guess there's some part of him that is like his love of tech is from me.
Mhm.
Um, I guess his willingness to like just help people is also from me. But everything else I'd have to say is just I kind of just put it there because like yeah, this is what this person needs. You know, this is
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
life that this person should have. Uh, I think basically I just made a character that could fix all my other characters' issues just because he's just a. I literally did, yeah. He's just a dad who's like, yeah, okay, man, I'll help you out, sure.
Very good. All right, last question in this morning brew segment where we're getting our coffee ready to start really getting into it. In real life, do you ever think in your character's voice or like their thought style?
Hmm.
Ooh, I don't think in his thought style because like my character's thought style is always mine, but I will occasionally just start speaking. I talk to myself a lot, especially out
Yeah,
loud.
me too, me
Um,
too.
and even when I'm talking normally, I will occasionally just like shift into an accent that I do with the character, um, which really bothers me because I don't like it. I feel like I'm a weirdo for doing it.
You know, I do the same thing. And I've told my wife that like the problem is that once you get into a voice and you get stuck in it and
Mm,
you're just for like an hour just doing
yeah.
things in that voice for some reason.
Yep.
It after a certain point it gets hard. Like, it doesn't get hard, but like I played a few weeks ago, and I was doing the voice for 4 hours, like nearly 5 hours at that point, and we'd got off, and I'd gone to talk to some other people, and as I was talking to them, I just slowly started shifting into the voice again. So they were like, "Why are you talking in like some shitty English accent?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, I've just been doing that for 5 hours. I'm sorry,
Physically cannot stop.
I couldn't, I really couldn't."
Gary, you have the same problem?
Not to as much of an extent, but I do frequently talk to myself a lot. I will have conversations with myself. I'll have arguments with myself. I'll just talk to myself all the time if I'm alone, and yeah, I think that does tie into I wouldn't say I necessarily think as Oliver, but I will enjoy coming up with like fantasy scenarios for like the campaign or like for future sessions and scenes and stuff where like Oliver and the other characters are in and it's like, oh, what if this happened and what would Oliver do? What would the others do? Stuff like that. So I just like to, play pretend a little bit and then yeah, it's a way to hold me over until we actually play.
Very good. Mark 28 minutes for the second segment. All right. So let's get into, now that we're percolating, let's get into some real questions.
Hmm.
Oh,
This
I
is
love, I
actually
love the coffee stuff.
This is the real
Uh,
talk right here.
Swifty, since you have some insight into your character more than everyone else, do you probably have the best idea on who your parent is, or do you?
Actually,
I wanted to know that.
Porcelain specifically asked me, "Do you want to know who your parent is?" I went, "No."
So you
I,
have
I
no
have
idea.
no clue. I have no clue. I have my own guesses, but that's just based off of like shit that I've said and like put in my backstory.
Hmm.
I want to hear about what do you think? What do you think Teddy's parent is?
I think it's like some god of luck, honestly. Just because I put like a lot of stuff like, oh, he was very lucky in this aspect, and a lot of his life is just lucky things have happened, so he's met the right people and got the right connections.
Yeah, well, putting the pieces together, what we know is that he has a godly mother, I think, from what we saw, and then I
Yeah,
want to say she's like a Norse god because she came off as more like
I
Celtic
think she was
kind of.
Celtic.
Yeah, because I don't
Yeah.
know all the pantheons.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, no, no, I,
BP
but I'm basing it off
specifically.
just the voice was I think was Celtic. Or
Hmm.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
getting that
that's
vibe
my thing
too.
is yeah, BP specifically said don't read any of the Pantheon lists, so I'm like, I won't. I can make guesses
mm,
on what pantheons there are in that book, but I can't know for sure.
yeah,
So like just yeah, putting pieces together so it's like some kind of I would say maybe Norse goddess. I don't know the Norse gods
yeah.
that well, so like I couldn't say more than that really to help you guess.
If I remember correctly, she said she was ginger as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's why I'm like that's leading me towards more like the Celts and all that. Just as
Hmm.
you think ginger with that voice, that's Celtic. Could be Norse. I think I think a few of their gods do crossover just because it's like pagan stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but I got no clue. I know who everyone else's is now, but
Wait,
Oh,
you
you
know everyone
know?
else's? You know
I know who
ours?
everyone else's is. I can't reveal because
Oh
obviously I
my
can't spoil that, but I know who
goodness.
everyone else's is because I'm in the SPC chat now.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
you get to
right.
be in both. You get to be in
I get to
both.
be both. But I will say I was only allowed in just
After
after
you
the
died.
session. I wasn't in there
Yeah.
before, so I had no
Menace.
additional information. I
You
am a menace to
menace.
society. Yeah. So I there's a lot of stuff I'm gonna have to watch myself. Oh, can I say that? No, I can't. There's not that much. There's not that much. It's just like
Just speak
who who
freely.
who
Just
the
say what you
parents
want. Go
are.
on. Go on.
All right. Well, we'll silence you then for a second and ask Gary, who, based on Oliver's personality and backstory and whatnot, who do you think your parent is?
Based on what I know of Oliver, his backstory, who he is, and then things that happened during the session, he's a very intellectual person. So I want to say he's tied to some god that reflects that, some kind of wisdom god or whatnot. And again, like I said, three guesses on god or pantheons that I'm fairly sure in the book, even though I didn't look at them, but like I could reasonably say these are definitely in there. Would be like the Norse gods, the Greek gods, and then like the Egyptian gods. Now I don't know much of anything about the Norse, so but if I were to make a guess from like each one of those three, and ones that kind of represent wisdom to my knowledge, my limited knowledge for like Norse gods, maybe like Odin, since it also kind of ties into Oliver being half blind. He's one eye down, so
Mm,
maybe there. For Egyptian, maybe Thoth. He's a god of knowledge, and then for Greeks, maybe like Athena because she's goddess of wisdom, but she's also a war goddess, which Oliver is not handy in physical encounters whatsoever. But she's more of a like tactics and strategy kind of individual, and Oliver, I guess, kind of handles those situations a bit better, coming up with plans on the spot on how to handle things. So maybe one of those three. That's the best I got.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, we'll let like BP listen to this episode, and she can like laugh to herself based on your guesses, or be
Or
like,
just
"Oh,
shit,
okay."
gotta change it now. Gotta change that.
Exactly.
You guessed it.
Yeah. Yeah, you guessed it. Ah, damn. Um,
Trats.
but when Teddy died, I was actually like, I was gonna put in the chat like, wait, is Teddy Balder? Like, this was my thought. Um,
Hmm.
this is just my thought based on what I know about Norse
Yeah.
mythology, right? And I didn't put it in the chat because I was like, well, what if he is? And then I like ruined the surprise because she was still going
Mm.
about the whole death scene. I'm like, ah, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let it go.
That's actually a
But
really cool idea. I like that a
yeah,
lot.
right? Because then it's like Teddy is this one-time character. He dies. I was like, that could be what she was doing, but I don't know
Mm.
if she was, and I didn't want to ruin it if she had other things planned. So that
Yeah.
was my thought, though. That maybe Teddy is just like the embodiment of Balder.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. It could
I don't
be. I
know.
don't
I
know.
don't know. It could be. So on that did you have any ideas? This is for you, Swifty. Did you have any ideas? This is a question from the chat. But did you have any difficulty coming up with ideas for your character?
Oh no, I
Because
had it within the first when she told me you're gonna die. I went, all right, I'm gonna play a single dad of an adopted daughter. That was my immediate first idea. It's just cool. If I'm gonna
He
do it, I'm gonna
wanted
do it
us
right.
to cry.
Yeah. I literally, yeah, like I want if I'm gonna do it, I have to do it right. I can't play an asshole. I have to play someone that people are gonna like. And
hmm
boy, oh boy, did all the stars just align with like specific things. Just like, we have a character who doesn't really know their parents, or is like doesn't
hmm
have good relations. I'm like, interesting, interesting,
hmm
good to know. And then like a whole bunch of the other characters were like adopted, and all. I was like, good to know. Well, it all just kind of worked out in the end. Um, Porcelain did straight up call me evil when I did say that. I went, yes, yes, I
It's
am.
because you are. You're sadistic and cruel.
I'll take that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure if those coincidences had been thought out because sometimes like I'm gonna reveal the curtain for anyone who hasn't been a game master. Sometimes you come up with things, and then sometimes your players come up
Mm,
with things, and the things that they come up with are like better than what you came up with.
yeah,
Like coincidences you didn't even notice, and then you just roll with it. You're like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna roll with that.
yeah.
Um, like in a campaign that I'm actually about to finish, I had named a monster that I made, but then my players called it something else, and I liked their name a lot better, so that's what I started calling it.
Ah,
So
classic.
sometimes players come up with like better things. So I wasn't sure if those coincidences were intentional or if they were just things that you guys pointed out that are now canon because you said them on the stream.
I mean, yeah, they are entirely unintentional. They just happened.
Very cool. All right, Gary. Question from the chat was: does Oliver have an endless supply of rubber rulers, or does he have a finite supply?
Ah, in his satchel, he has a finite supply. He brought about 15 or so for the old tutoring expedition. But back home, back in the apartment, who knows? There might just be like an endless pit full of floppy rubber rulers that he can just call upon when needed. Because you always need a sword. You never know when you
Yeah,
might need one.
maybe that becomes Oliver's superpower later. He just manifests rubber rulers
Just
whenever.
manifest rubber rulers because they're always so useful to have.
I mean, it's easy to explain the rubber ruler in a bag, right? This was
Yeah.
mage or something. Oh yeah, I have a rubber ruler. I have
Just
another
rule.
one and another one. Yeah.
Something that would benefit him more is he could just endlessly summon copies of Hamlet, apparently.
Yeah. That was another one. That was actually another question. I'll just jump right to it because the chat kind of wanted to know what Oliver's favorite play was, and I'm thinking obviously
Mm.
not Hamlet, considering
No.
the number of copies of Hamlet he destroyed in order to flee.
Yeah, he likes Hamlet, but it's not his favorite. Oliver differs from me a little bit here with Shakespeare. I'm more of a fan of like the comedies, so I would say my favorite is probably like The Tempest, but Oliver probably likes the tragedies and the dramas more. So his favorite, I want to say, is probably like Othello. Othello's a good one. He
Hmm.
probably really likes that one.
Yeah, and he has strong feelings about Hamlet, apparently.
He enjoys Hamlet. He thinks it's a good one. It's the like easy one to teach to high schoolers. So like that's the one he goes with. But if he had his own choice in the matter, he probably would do ones that he finds to be better or cooler, like Othello or King Lear. One of those two. But like the school board's like, no, you got to keep it simple for him. And he's like, give him some credit, you know.
Hmm. So Hamlet, not Romeo and Juliet, because oh god, again, really?
He's probably done Romeo and Juliet a few times. So he's like, I'm so done with Romeo and Juliet. Let's do Hamlet instead. And then once that gets tired, we'll switch back to Romeo and Juliet. And then in 10 years, he'll just hate his life.
Yeah, I
I'm
will say that
kidding.
I think
Oliver loves his job and what he does and everything like that. He thoroughly enjoys it. So while he would prefer other plays, he'll settle for Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet.
the Hamlet chaff, or like I was calling it, Shakespeare vanish, was pretty awesome to experience as a
I
viewer.
appreciate it. Well, for me, I was just like, okay, so these people can actually fight. I have no stats in those things at all. What can I do with a satchel, rubber rulers, and a bunch of copies of Hamlet? What can I make out of this? And I just did the best I could.
Yeah, I liked it. If you the chat is really fun too, and I was just every time you did it, I was in the chat like Shakespeare vanish.
The chat was
It was fun.
phenomenal. Like one of my favorite moments is like when he's trying to run away, like when things first begin, sees like Sarah in her car. He's like, "Hey, is it all right if I get in here?" In the chat, two different comments in the chat said something like, "I am about to die. May I respectfully enter your car, please?" And
Yeah,
it's like that's basically what he did. Yeah.
yeah, that was good times. Swifty, did you? I mean, we already talked about how you didn't know what was going. How did you feel when like the wolves were attacking and things were like getting bad?
I was not expecting wolves. I was not expecting like I I kind of honestly I kind of thought like things we would be like separated for a lot longer, and that
Mhm.
it would kind of be a lot of like big mini scenes. But I think that would have gone for too long of each of the characters getting introduced and having their awakening or whatever it is
Mhm.
happen, and then they meet, and then that's when I would have died. So I wasn't expecting us to all be on the exact same street at the exact same time. Um, it's just, I mean, it's just pure luck in like in that world of just all these
Mhm.
people being here at the same time. So I was shocked when 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 the big wolf boys came out to play.
Yeah, I was like, well, okay, we're screwed.
Is it
It
luck
was
or is it some kind of divine design for you scions to be in
Mm,
the same place
just
at
to
the
say
same
it's not
time?
the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's a fair question. Okay, a question for both of you. How certain are you this whole episode wasn't just a byproduct of bad hash?
Ooh, it could be. Next session could start with like, all right, you all wake up from a terrible green out, and then I'll just be like, how did Oliver start taking marijuana? He doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it
Someone
could be.
spiked Oliver.
Yeah, one of your students.
Yeah,
Or just being in the proximity of Coda, right?
yeah, that could happen. Just secondhand bad hash.
Yeah.
Swifty, what is it like being an SPC for Hallowed Haven?
Um, I mean, realistically, I wasn't an SPC for a while. I was a player.
Yeah.
So only up until Friday for you guys, I was a player, and then after that, I have become an SPC. So it's pretty lax. I get to just look at a chat, look at all the people talking there, read all the juicy details that people are saying. And then I get to not reveal any of them on on this thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. Like we talk about like so many evil schemes in the SPC chat for Wayfair. Like
Here's
Mhm.
how we're gonna kill
Scott,
Chris.
you
Yeah,
you
this
Here's
is
how we're
definitely
gonna
quick,
kill
definitely quick,
Oliver.
Scott, so I could talk about it more with Swifty. All this
yeah, that's what I
evil,
was
nefarious things we converse about.
right. That's I knew this question could be posed for both of you, but I thought I'd ask him first since it's his in this episode his time to become an SPC.
Yeah.
But Gary, you also have experience with being an SPC. So
Yeah.
what's it like?
Well, I get to do the fun parts of just showing up and just being like, "Hey, look at me. I'm just this helpful guy. You want some help on your hunting job? Yeah, sure. All right, I'm gonna come along." And then next week I just get to watch instead. I get all the fun and then have to deal with none of the actual consequences. Sorry, geez, I can't talk. Consequences of the story and plot. So I get the best of all of it.
Is it interesting to be like following the story along and then jump in as an SPC, or do you think it's better to like start off as a character and then become an SPC?
I think both definitely have um, their merits to it. They both have something that you can gain from it. For Wayfair, I really enjoy doing stuff with Jesse, where I get to just show up and be the helpful hunter associate that you guys have, and then um, get to just leave the next session and then come up again whenever you guys need me and things like that. Speaking of which, I don't appreciate last time I was on and you weren't available. We're messaging in the chat saying how suspicious I was. Can I not have skills, Scott? Can I not just be good at things? You were just like, that's pretty sus. I'm like,
Sus.
I'm just good at stuff, Scott. What do you want from me?
I mean, it started with the fact that the dog just straight up likes you. No, not Arthur. Jeez.
Sounds like you're jealous, all right? Sounds like you got some deep-rooted jealousy
Oh
you need
no,
to work out and not put
I
onto
think we're
me, my friend.
I think we're spilling the tea already. It's going all over the place.
I just have so much animosity to me that it just shoots out sometimes. I'm sorry.
No, it just the question about being an NPC is a question I wanted to pose because the people in the Patreon, right, they have the opportunity to become an SPC in a future episode. So I thought it'd be nice to like bring that up. What does it look like for people who are coming into a fanship like that they're like a fandom that they're paying attention to and then be getting to be in a SPC versus someone who like maybe like started off as an SPC essentially.
Yeah, well,
You know.
yeah, and definitely it's a fun time. So if you guys want to do it, sign up for it. Do
Yeah.
that extra layer, that tier, so you can do it because it's a great time. We have a lot of fun here. And you get to talk smack about the players in the SPC chats, and that's one of the best benefits.
Yeah, I've never been an SPC yet, so I don't
I
know.
would
That's why I
also
was
like to
asking
point
for you.
out, as
We
far as
we
I've
mostly just
seen,
talk crap
there's
about
been no
Arthur,
smack
actually.
talking.
We only talk smack about Arthur, actually. None of the others really get
You
any
know,
crack given to
that's
him.
that's what everyone does. The entire chat for Wayfair is just smack talking
It really
Arthur
was
the
just
whole
everyone
way.
dunking on Arthur. We're supposed to be talking about Scion right now, but like it's
It
just
is. But no,
big
this is the
dunks on
experience of the
Arthur.
SPC. So
Yeah.
on the note of let's getting back to the topic of Scion episode 1,
Yes.
let's start spilling that tea. Um so my first question for you, because we're gonna spill some tea right now, and then we'll get into your, feelings about Teddy. How bad are Kodo's essays?
Um Oliver thinks she definitely has some potential. Uh, when he had her as a student, these are all things I have imagined in my head as my own personal headcanon. I would have to talk to
Sure.
Sticker to confirm anything, but I like to imagine that when he had her and they were doing essays, that it was during the period where he was still doing Romeo and Juliet. So she wrote an essay that is probably one of the most colorful ones he's ever read, that contained the most uses of the F word that he's ever seen, and he kept it and framed it because he was really impressed.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
Other than that, they're not bad essays. They're just incredibly obvious that she didn't actually read the material.
I have a little bit of a gripe with Teddy. It's actually with you, Swifty. You had the perfect moment to make the babysitter's phone number 8675309, and you didn't
Oh,
do it.
I did, but only because I that did not occur to me. First of all, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. I made it what I made it. I think it was
It was so
one
deliberate. I
two
was like,
one
this
two
has to
one
mean
nine eight four
something.
five.
I have it in
No,
my
it means
notes
nothing.
somewhere.
It's literally just a password I used at a job.
All
Mm.
right. He was just so like meticulous and exact. Like you were able to keep
Yeah,
repeating.
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
oh,
this
of course,
gotta like
like,
mean
yeah,
something.
Katie's
It's just
gonna
like,
have some like meaning for this
is it like
because this is such exact specific thing. I was trying to figure out a way if I could make it like a birthday for
yeah, that's what
someone.
I was thinking. I was like, is it like his daughter's birthday or something? I was
But I
like,
was like,
nah, I don't
okay,
think that.
12, 19, and then like the rest of like this doesn't make sense. Screw it. It's just a random series of numbers. It's just a hard password to guess, so his phone's secure. But I don't know what 88765 309 is. So
I barely know. It's like a song, isn't it?
It's a song, and
Yeah,
I
that's what I
now
figured.
feel incredibly older than all of you.
No,
based
I've
on
heard it
this.
before.
no, you
Like,
should
I just
feel
want to make
old.
sure.
You're
I
just
just
from
want
a
to make
different
sure
country.
that it was like that was the true origin of it. That was the song. I didn't know if it came from something else beforehand or something.
yeah, no, that's the
Yeah.
number. It's Jenny's number. Jenny's number.
Mm.
8675309.
I don't know who Jenny is. So
Oh, it's Jenny.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Super old right now. Super old.
I
no,
also
you don't feel old. It's just I different country as well. So
yeah, that's one of the
different music.
entertaining parts I had from like a meta perspective on the session was just watching Swifty try to be like, I'm an American. Yes, these are American things that Americans do. Let us go get
The
a
entire time,
cheeseburger.
the entire time I was debating, do I try and do an American accent in front of like 4
You
Americans? Like I
should have.
can't.
You should have
I,
been
I, I don't
so
know how to
funny.
do one. I'm like, well, I'm an American. That's all I can do. Like, yeah, cheeseburger.
Well, oh, well, hello, gang. Let's
Burns
go
in
down to the
Texas. That's
McDonald's
all
get
that
a
matters.
cheeseburger.
I wouldn't be able to stop myself from saying Macca's because that's what I used to
Yeah, I
say.
guess that's what you call it. You call them Macca's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no one in America goes to the shop to get some crisps, right? That's not a thing that we do.
No.
Say, keep your crisp out of here. Go back to the UK with that bullshit. We say chips. Hot chips and chips.
Mm.
No crisps.
No crisps, not
No
American.
No crisps. No.
We're
We're
not
not
very
that.
crisp either.
We're far removed from the UK. All right, give us some leeway here.
Well,
I'm happy I didn't do the accent because I didn't want to have to try and do it for 4 hours because I knew eventually at some point it would slip between like 2 different places. I'm like, right, it's lost. I give up.
Yeah.
all right, Gary. Now that Teddy has been laid to rest, how did his dying make you feel?
Ooh, it made me feel so mad. I'm still so mad about it. This evil scheme that was done to us. It didn't even matter that I figured it out at the break. It didn't even matter that I put the pieces together because I still had to experience it. I still had to watch as this mastermind of both Swifty and BP just put together the most heart-wrenching, horrid,
Hey, don't mind
terrible,
me. I was just a tool.
gut
Blame her.
punching. Shut up. Shut up. You intentionally built your character to be a single dad, be the nicest, greatest guy that everyone gets along with so that when he does die, we would feel even worse. You said that yourself no more than like 20 minutes ago, all right?
I
Don't
did,
try
yeah.
this with me, all right? And it worked so well because out of character, I'm like, oh, this villain, this ne'er do well. But then in character, Oliver's just having a full on mental breakdown because you put together just so many pieces that would hit him the worst. It was a straight arrow to the chest for him. It was over before it even began. Checkmate in one.
I picked you for a specific reason to give my phone to.
Yeah. Thanks for that, pal. It made for a good narrative, though. It was a very good narrative.
I picture you like, this is the teacher. Yeah, he likes kids. Here you go, mate. Have the phone. Send the last message for me.
No! Teddy!
Why did you not send a message there, Oliver?
Because Oliver, from his perspective, was like, what he really wanted to do was he did what Teddy said. Where he sent the message to his
Yeah.
daughter and everything. But like
Mhm.
what he wanted to do afterwards, words when they were at the hospital, is call his wife and tell him what actually happened, like what happened to Teddy, because he believed that she had a right to know. But the logical, intellectual side of Oliver kind of kicked in and was like, this could be things that implicate you further, and until you get
Mm.
this cleared with the law, you can't do this. It sucks. It hurts so bad. I know it does, but you got to do the smart thing here, Oliver. And so that's what he did. And it's one of the other reasons why he's like still, or at least by the end of that episode, was like just in such a rough place mentally.
I have a question actually for you. There was one scene towards the end at the hospital, um, where you looked for like a grate or like a sewer thing.
Mhm.
Were you gonna throw the phone in there?
He was, or at
Yeah, I
least
thought
he was
so.
thinking of it, where
Yeah,
it's like, all right, time to ditch the evidence. But since there
yeah,
wasn't any opportunity to do that, he's still got it, so he might still end up making that call.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
That or he'll just keep looking at all the messages he receives from, like, your daughter and your wife and just torture himself
Yeah, I
with it because
mean,
he
the
feels like he
next
didn't do
morning
enough.
you're gonna wake up to like a message like, "Hey, where are you, Dad?" And then the babysitter's gonna be like, "Hey, why didn't you come home? What's going on?"
Yeah. Like, there was already a message about that beforehand, and
Yeah, there
Oliver's
was. Yeah.
just was like, "He's not coming back. Oh, no." And so, yeah, well, he might just keep that phone on him as a sort of, piece of self-penance, um,
Mm.
his own little
Mm.
cross to
I
be
think you should make the phone
put
call.
upon.
I think
He
Oliver
might
would
he
do
might do
that.
both. He might make the phone call and
Yeah,
then also just have to live with, what happened because he feels like he didn't do enough. Feels like it should have been him,
yeah,
and it sucks. He feels terrible.
yeah.
And how would you have felt, Swifty, if he had thrown that phone into the grate?
I I would have been like, "All right, cool, awesome." Like, one session. I think it kind of would have been like a nail in the coffin for Oliver if he threw the phone. I think that's kind of him detaching himself from it a little bit, which could lead to something further down the line. But I
Yeah,
did
I think you're
enjoy
right.
the I did enjoy him like looking through the phone and seeing like the contacts. Like only a few of them have photos and that. Um, I liked it, and if he had thrown it, I wouldn't have been mad. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
'cause
got what I came for.
I think you're absolutely right that it would've been a nail in the coffin for Oliver and sent him
Yeah,
down a specific road for the future because, like, his mindset at the time was like, "This thing might be used as evidence against me. It could be
mm,
tracked. Who knows if those, like, wolves can somehow track us through technology or whatever. I gotta get rid of this." But at a deeper level, I think it was you might also be right there that it was him wanting to detach himself from the situation, find a way to get rid of it, but since he
yeah,
didn't have the opportunity to, his more truer nature, I guess, took hold, and he's like, "No, you're gonna keep this now. This is your, this is your cross."
yeah.
Nice. Nice. Sorry, I was drinking coffee and my throat got caught. Are there any other questions you want to ask each other? Anything else you want to throw out there?
So, how many times a week do you kick puppies, for fun, Swifty? Just for my
Oh,
own,
for
not
fun?
yeah, for
Like
fun.
every day, every
Every
hour. I
day?
actually have a
Every
puppy that I bring in a new one
oh,
every
yeah, yeah.
day. I just
There's a
kick
truck
it.
that comes.
Yeah, there's a truck. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a
The
guy. I pay him
Bolt.
$50 a day. I come in. I
Uh-huh.
just kick every puppy I can.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all about
I
the
figured.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
And
The
then I get
younger,
the
the better.
oh, I can't. I shouldn't say that. That's a bit too far.
Hey, whoa, hey, hey.
Ooh. And then I
Too
get the
much
cats
tea.
to come in.
Cut that out of the episode, cut that out of the episode.
Too much tea. We're gonna have to throw some towels down.
Mm.
What is the one thing, I guess this is for Oliver because Gary, you're gonna be playing for a while and maybe there'll be a resurgence of Teddy somehow. I mean, in Wayfair we had somebody appear back again. Well, I don't know if that's gonna happen this time.
Ghost Teddy.
I've
Um
already spoken to Porcelain. She's like, "No, you're done. You're done. You had your time.
uh,
Get that fuck
Mm.
out of here
no Wrath Teddy appearing out of nowhere with the
I
painted
don't
name.
believe you.
now." No, you believe me. I'm
I
being
think
honest.
I
I'm
think
such a
Ghost
trustworthy,
Teddy.
truthful little boy.
Yeah, you shut up, guy. Ghost Teddy's gonna come back in like the middle of the season or whatever, and just like haunt Oliver in the middle of the night, and just and just ruin his life.
Oh, like, would I be there to do it? Because I
I
don't think
would
I would be
assume
there to do
so.
it. I think that if that was to happen, it would just be like Porcelain doing it.
I mean, with your character, I assume
But
you'd be
I
there.
can confirm that I am not a coming back as a person.
I don't believe you still.
That's fair enough. You're allowed to not believe me.
I
I'm
mean,
allowed to do this.
if it
You
were to
are.
happen, if that were to happen, if BP hears this idea and decides to roll with it, if she hasn't already had it, I feel like she probably would bring you back because that's just kind of how they work at Hallowed,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yep.
She
No
wouldn't. She
point in
wouldn't
like
try to.
bringing the character back if they're not gonna bring the
BP,
player
if you're
back.
listening, you have full permission to Christmas Carol me.
Nice. Nice.
It's Carol, you. Who are the other 3 ghosts?
I don't know. More
We
people might
haven't.
do
We
that. Who
haven't got
knows?
there yet. We still have to have 3 more
You don't
episodes
know
before you can
Oliver's
get-
history.
How many bodies have you buried, Oliver?
Ah, ooh.
How did you
Oh,
lose
man.
the eye?
Well, I have a story for that. It was
Yeah.
just very natural, actually. There wasn't a big hubbub
Oh.
about it. It's just all foggy.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So
Yeah, I
what
can
is
pull up his backstory if you want to just read it word for word. I'm not going to because I feel like that ruined things, but I could.
Actually, that's actually a question. How much did you write for your your character's backstory?
I'm someone I know there's like a lot of methods where some people will just be like, here's a couple bullet points. That's them.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy writing like actual stories for the character's
Mm.
backstory. So like, yeah, let's see here. I can pull the background through this single space document I have. It's about 3 pages of backstory.
3 pages.
Yeah,
Jesus. It's pretty a lot more than I put in.
That's
I
it. 3
like
pages?
making stories of them.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of panache. If you just take it to the bare bones of it, it's just very simple, very short. But
Yeah.
I put a little razzle dazzle in the mix.
I walked into a vampire LARP once with a 30-page backstory, and
Yeah.
to
Freaking
be
hell.
fair, to be fair,
You're
I was
playing
also
a vampire.
fairly new. I was fairly new at like like RPGs in general. This was my first LARP ever, and I didn't know that like people do that. And I like writing, so I wrote 30-page backstory. But yes,
Yeah.
it's a 50-year-old vampire. He's not just gonna have like 1-page backstory.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you're a vampire for a while. You gotta have you just play an entire game of 1,000-year-old vampire, and then that's your backstory.
Exactly, and there's your backstory. But what is the one thing that you'd be really disappointed if you never get to experience with Oliver?
Never get to experience forward. That's a good question. That's the thing, because I don't want to say like, oh, I'd be really disappointed if this didn't happen because I don't know what Porcelain's gonna pull out of the magic hat to blow us all away. So putting things out there and being like, hey, I'd really like if you work this in, which I don't want to do that to her. I feel like that would undermine what she's going for with the story for her stuff. But I would like to see things in Oliver's backstory come up. I would like to see some details that I put in there come to light or be involved in some way. But if it's not, then I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm here for whatever story is being told.
Very cool. Well, I think that's everything. Unless you want to spill some more tea or trash talk any of the other players, characters. I'm just kidding. We're not going to
They
trash
have
talk.
to, but
I got
they're all
so
very
much
fun to play
trash.
with.
Got so much trash talk for the other players, like that Damien guy. Why has he got to be such a good actor, huh? Why is he gonna be
Exactly.
why is he gotta have such a cool voice, huh? Who gave him permission to do that? Not me. Get him
Oh,
out of here.
who gave him permission to do that
Who gave
freaking
him
really cool prayer
who gave him
out of
permission to belt
nowhere?
that out, yeah, on
Yeah,
spot, improv that, and be really cool and badass? Who gave him
yeah.
the rights? All right, you get him out of here. Off the show. I want him gone by tomorrow. And Sticker or playing Coda. Why she gotta be cool as well? Why she gotta be badass and chaotic and fun?
Why does she have to have the coolest name I've ever heard?
Yeah. Why does she why yeah, exactly, Coda Massacre, why does she get a cool name like that? And who gave her permission to not to like, go outside of the neutral color palette? All right?
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
a set palette in store and she
The beige
went
squad
maverick on
was
it. She went
assigned.
maverick on us. Yeah, the beige squad was determined and she's like, "No." And now we got to live with it. All right? I want her out by tomorrow. All right? All right? Then
And
we
say the
got
same with Chris.
cyan.
He's wearing all black.
Yeah,
No
well,
beige?
he barely fits it in. All right, he's neutral. Black's a
Yeah,
neutral color. We can work with
he's
it.
neutral.
But still, I want him out for the other reasons. And then
He's the bad
cyan
boy of the group.
playing. Yeah, he's the bad boy. Playing cyan playing Sasha. All right, like what's her deal? Why
Sarah.
she gotta be awesome? So I did this during the
You
session.
did
So I
this,
called her
yeah.
Sasha, and then I saw it in front of me. I was like, it's Sarah, and I was
Sarah
like, I'm never gonna
Baxter.
make that mistake ever again. And then I just did it. But yeah, Sarah, why she gotta be so cool? She's got like a gun. She's towing that around, being badass and shit. Yeah, no, absolutely not. I want her out by tomorrow as well. Get them all out of here. All right, they're too good.
We just get a mediocre show with Oliver.
It's just the Oliver show, and it was no, we couldn't do that. If it was just the Oliver
It's
show,
just you
nothing would
sitting there for
happen.
4 hours
It would
acting
just
out
be
Hamlet.
it would just be Oliver sitting there for 4 hours just reading a book. It wouldn't even be a show. It would be me doing audiobooks, and no one wants to hear that.
This is some delightful tea. Some, happy tea, as it were. I like it.
Happy tea.
All right, so we're gonna have to get the rest of them out of there so we can have audiobooks by Oliver.
Audiobooks by Oliver. And it would be terrible audiobooks too, because he would always like stop in the middle of sentences and stuff to like break down like the like impact, like the plot impact of it, and like what and the meaning and everything like that. He would just rant for like an hour about like just one portion of the story before like continuing again, and then just doing that all over again. It would never be good. It would be like reading Pale Fire, but like worse.
So the audiobook versions, right, on Audible, there'd be like all the rest of them would be 4 hours or something, but then Oliver's would be like 25 hours.
It would be like 30 hours of just commentary
Per
by
page,
Oliver.
it takes him an hour to get through it.
Yeah,
Just because he has to explain all the wrong things.
All right. Well, that being said, these episodes that drop on Thursdays at noon for the $5 tier and above on Patreon. So it behooves you to be a patron on Patreon to be able to get these episodes as they come out, to be able to hear the commentary from our players and from our creators and hear what they have to say about the episodes. If you're not a patron, then you're going to hear this 1 month after we drop it. So 1 month later, you're just a month behind in all of your news and you're trying to catch up. You're going to be like just falling behind and potentially getting lost in the mist as the rest of them continue to run forward. But think
Wow.
about your subscription so you can be up to date with the talk news for Hallowed Haven Studios. Thanks everybody for listening to After Dawn.
Thank you.
Very good. That was very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
good time.
All right, so that was 1 hour. We wanted the episodes to be about an hour long, so that worked out. I didn't have Grizz
Okay.
to like go with, you know.
Yeah.
You still did. You did great.
Was trying to. Like this script that we had for it. That we I was starting to work with him, and then he you may have heard when you came in, but he sort of didn't respond for a while. So because I was like, all right, we're doing this episode, I got to finish this off, and so I just kind of went through, and then in my script quote unquote, right, because it's like a lot of freeform, I did have us trading off. So like some of these questions would have been him, and then I could have reacted to those responses, and then I would ask a question, he could react to the responses, like that kind of thing. But I think we did all right. You guys reacted to each other
Fantastic job.
enough that I think it was fine.
Yeah, don't worry. I have plenty of rants to go on.
I actually I think that's like genuinely the best thing about playing with you guys. But everyone got along like instantly. There was no like awkwardness between
Yeah, no,
everyone. It was just
good time.
instant. It was very fun.
It was lovely.
It was beautiful.
I thought it was beautiful from an
Yeah.
outsider perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess thanks for your time, and thanks for talking to us, and thanks for, very first episode of this setting a precedent for everyone else. It's going to be hard for them to spill the tea when you did such a good job of, talking them up in your spilling the tea.
Aggressively complimenting him.
How dare they be so beautiful and good?
How dare they just be awesome and great at everything?